In this video, I'm going to show you how we can actually create a auto-scaled managed instance group in Google Cloud. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to have an instance template that's already been created. This instance template is what's going to specify the configuration for our virtual machines in our group. Once we have that template, we can create a managed instance group, and then we just configure the auto-scaling that's based on the metrics like CPU utilization. Let's get started by going to our Compute Engine page inside of our Google Cloud console, and we're going to navigate to the instance group settings. So on this page where it lists all of our options, we're going to hover over the left-hand side and scroll down to where we see the instance groups option. So if underneath the instance groups menu, you'll see there's an option that says instance groups. Go ahead and click that. And here, since I have no instance groups, I will have to create one. So I'm going to click Create Instance Group, and this page is what's going to allow us to create this group for ourselves. So I just will start with the name. So I'm going to call it my example dash auto scaled dash group. And I will then choose an instance template, which is this example template that I have from earlier. This template is what's going to contain all the configuration. You can see underneath this instance template option, we have E2 medium selected, a Debian 12 operating system, and it's in the US Central 1 zone. Now, since I'm just going, for the purpose of our demonstration here, I'm just going to rely on a single zone where my instances will be created in one zone, just in the interest of time and saving costs. If I were to create this for actual users, for people all over the globe to use, I want to have some type of redundancy in place, some type of fault tolerance. So this is where I'll have multiple zones. So the instances are spread across all over the globe for higher availability. In the event that one zone fails, another zone can take its place to sort of match that auto scaling, to match that fault tolerance. Now let's move on to the auto scaling component here. So in the auto scaling component, we have to enable it. So I have three options to enable this auto scaling. We have the on, which allows us to add and remove instances of the group depending on a certain signal. So I can either scale up or scale down. There's also a scale out option, meaning that I can only add instances to the group and I will not remove instances. And then there's off for do not auto scale at all. So the one that we're interested in is the on, and we want to add and remove instances to the group depending on how much the machine is being utilized. So now the question becomes is what are the minimum number of instances that we want to use? So I can set for one number of instance, or I can start with and go up to 10 if I want to. For now, I'm just going to say I'm either going to start with a minimum number of instances, one, and if that gets too bogged down, I'm going to add another one. So it'll be two instances that are available. So now, how do we know when this auto scaling group is going to horizontally scale and add one extra machine from the original one? Well, it's all done based off of these auto scaling signals. We use these signals to help determine when we should add or remove machines. This is the CPU utilization that you're seeing. It's set to 60% default. Now, if I click this, I can actually choose a different signal type. The most common one to use is CPU utilization, but I can use another metric if I choose to, such as the ones displayed here. For now, I can choose the CPU utilization and say that when the CPU utilization is at 60% or greater, this means that I should prepare to offload some work from this machine by adding another machine to this group so that I will have two machines instead of the one. And so this is what the signal here is going to do. And you can add multiple signals as well, so that if either one of these signals are true, then we will go ahead and add another machine to our group. So that's a little bit on how this auto scaling is going to work. After this, all these other settings for now are outside the scope of our managed instance group. So this really is our auto scaling portion, but you can also know that even though I'm having auto scaling signals, what's interesting is that we can have them set to auto scaling schedules. So we can add a schedule after the instance group is created, but it works exactly the same way. What we do is we set a time rather than a signal for such a 60% CPU utilization. We say I know on the weekends my application is going to get the most use. So from Friday night to Sunday night or Monday morning, I want to have 8 machines, for example. I can have that schedule in place so that I can actually increase those instances. And so that is the whole purpose of setting some type of auto scaling schedule. Primarily, what we want to do is we want to have auto scaling based off CPU, since the time estimates of our application may not always be predictive like that, so that we don't know that, on the weekends we're going to have a lot of use case. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and click create on the bottom left, and this instance group will be created, and this number of instances with 1 is going to be started on that minimum. And then as the CPU utilization is utilized, we'll add 1 more machine. And then that's as simple as how we can create a managed instance group, and we can go ahead and change any settings we can before we actually create them, such as what zone that we want to